Hi, I'm Dr. Bill LaBar, and this is my Rotary story. When I came to Irving to serve the church in 2005, Dr. Oberlin determined that his pastor was going to be a member of the Rotary Club. That's just the way it was going to be. And so I came to Rotary and enjoyed the fellowship. And then Mrs. Oberlin asked me how I was going to get involved in the city of Irving. And so I began publishing The Blade in those days. Now I work on the flag program. I'm in charge of production, and I just have it's something that I can do, and I enjoy, and I have a great time, and I believe in Rotary.
Well, good afternoon, Rotarians. Welcome to the Thursday, April 22nd meeting of your Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club, celebrating 84 years of service to the Irving community. If you'll stand with me, our invocation today will be led by the Reverend Shane Webb, our pledge by our new member Ryan Maney. Our song will be led by Neil and Sandra. We'll be singing God Bless America, and Rick Lindsay will introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests. Pastor.
It is a joy to see all of you, both virtually and here in person. I'm glad to be out of quarantine and around people again. Will you please join me in prayer? Loving God, we thank you for this day and for the changing weather. God, we ask your blessing upon us as we work hard to serve this community. I'm thankful for these friends and guests, and especially our new friends from Australia. I ask your blessing upon our first responders, and I'm thankful for the work that they do for our benefit and the benefit of our beautiful and diverse community. And we pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Need to do some here. Here now, it will be up there. There you go. Okay. Say wow. So over here.
That was excellent. I think some of y'all must sing in the church choir or something. Y'all really sounded good. Well, we have a room full of guests today, so help me welcome past President Rick Lindsay to the podium to introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you, President Alsop. It is my pleasure today to welcome our visitors and guests. Today, I would like to welcome Melissa Schreiber. Stand up there, Melissa. I'm going to talk about you for a minute. Yeah. Melissa has on her uniform, and she is a very important part of the flag distribution network. She and Rosa Gordon, as you know, work on the 16 teams that distribute the 1,600 plus flags that go out over the city of Irving. So a lot of hard work in coordinating, getting Boy Scouts and teams and lists. And do you get any sleep for the next 6 weeks, Melissa, you and Kathy? That's right, and a teacher, okay. Very good.
Does she have that Rotary flag patch on her?
Say it again. Okay. Where did you put your Rotary flag patch? Do you still have that? It's somewhere? On the patch jacket. Great, great. Want to make sure you've got one. Melissa, thanks for being here. Thanks for all the hard work. All right, let's give her a round of applause. A very important part of a Rotary Club interaction with the Rotary District 5810 is our representative back to that district governor, Mr. Dan Clemson, is our rep. Would you like to say anything about your year? It's almost over, isn't it? Well, you've been a resource for us. And so as we've reached out with questions, I know you've responded quickly, and we appreciate everything you've done to help us have a successful year. Let's give Dan another round of applause. Well, the back table I'm going to introduce here in a few minutes. They are a guest of this club, and so the chief and I will introduce them. Jasmine, help me here. Rawat. Yeah, would you stand, please? Thank you for being here today. Oh, a prospective new member. All right, good, good. Her husband, VJ, you want to stand? We'll acknowledge. And then Bella. Hi, Bella. Thank you all for being here today. What a great group. So, Mr. President, I think that concludes all of our visitors today. Can I make one other announcement? So, the Duke. I didn't see it on my list.
Okay.
Wait a minute, it says Ryan. Okay, good. Ryan, I'm sorry I overlooked you. So do you want to come tell us anything? Is the K9's program, is that going well, and Irving is still very much involved? Okay, very good. Thank you. So the Duke asked me to introduce tomorrow and Saturday is the District 5810 Rotary Conference. It's $135 tuition or charge. It's in person. I believe it's in Allen, Texas. We can get you the details. If any of you have never attended the district conference or a Rotary International conference, the district conference is a neat thing to go do. So the club will pick up the cost for the first 5 members that talk to either me or President Alsop or John, if you would like to attend all of it or part of it, whatever fits your schedule. So if you'd like to attend district conference tomorrow or Saturday or any part of that, let us know. John's that cover it? Details adequate? Close enough. All right. And you know that the incoming district governor is our own Max DuPont. So go support her. Well, I just saw somebody in a kind of a blue jacket shirt come in. Let me see. Yes, that is a member, a longtime member of this club for 17 years. Mara, good to see you here today. Thank you. I was introducing guests and other things, and thank you for being here. Thanks for the hard work on all the emails that Mara does for us. Absolutely. Mr. President, I think that's it for me.
Mr. Lindsay, stay up here with me for a minute. I just got a message that came in online from Superintendent Magna Hernandez, and you should know the answer to this question. She said that tomorrow is Irving ISD's 112th birthday. I think you were here when they started, weren't you? Helped them. Maybe.
Where's Neil Davidson?
Neil taught you music. Well, anyway, I knew that you knew that somewhere, that tomorrow was Irving ISD's birthday. So Magna, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm sure that Rick Lindsay's on the rolls there somewhere as a graduate. Thank you for doing all this today. I'll be back to you in just a moment. We've got a couple of other things I want to take care of real quickly. First of all, I mentioned Jasmine has submitted her application for membership. Her husband VJ is going to be doing his application. So we have 2 new prospective members from Australia. So we're going to have to talk a little different. So y'all work on that Australian accent so you can greet them properly. Ryan Maney's back with us. Ryan's been virtual for a few weeks, but glad he's back, our other new member. So we want to finish the year strong with membership, and I thank you for helping me do that. We have a flag work day coming up on Saturday. Is that right, Dr. LeBar? Yes, sir. Come to the microphone, sir. You can do this in English or Spanish.
Oh, bueno. Entonces, producción de los banners. No, we're doing a flag building at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. We were scheduled at 9 o'clock, but management, otherwise known as Bob Bourgeois, asked us to move back to 8 o'clock. We're going to form a union, the Amalgamated Flag Builders of Irving and Fight Management. But anyway, that's so that people can go and help Mara at Northlake College with her food distribution program. So we will get everybody out by 9 o'clock. If they're a little late, that's because of that, Mara. But we 2 weeks ago, we built 56 flags in 46 minutes, new production. We were cooking, and we built every pole that we had. So we're going to work 1 hour Saturday morning, 8 to 9, and then everybody can go help Mara. Okay? Ed, don't forget. Okay.
8 a.m. new time. And speaking of flags, I've got our updated numbers. We have 1,141 paid flags, 1,141. We have 953 pending renewals, and we brought in so far $51,284. So we got 1,141 up closer to 1,500 within the next 5 weeks between now and Memorial Day. So you can help us with that. I think that is everything that I had on my list. So I'm going to ask Rick Lindsay to come back today and introduce our program and speakers. So.
Thank you again, Mr. President. It is my pleasure to get to introduce our program and speaker. And I want to say thank you to you, this club, for supporting the initiative that we put in place several years back, where we acknowledge and recognize and thank our first responders. Today is that day for the Irving Fire Department. We get to acknowledge, hear some interesting stories, and get an update from our own fire chief, Victor Conley. Chief Conley, would you join me up here and bring our guest, please? So what we're going to do today is the chief is going to give us an update and tell the story about why we're acknowledging these first responders, and then we will make the awards presentation, and then we'll go right into a update about our fire department. So Chief, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody, for having us back once again. I cannot express our gratitude and appreciation for the support and recognition that you're giving to both fire and police. And you'll notice that when Chief Spivey comes forward, he'll say police and fire, so we do it back and forth. We always want to be first. But it means a lot, and I think you know some of the things that have taxed your public safety, both in the pandemic responses to different natural disasters, but also the spotlight that's been put upon your public safety, especially police department, not only throughout the state, but throughout the nation and the world. And your support for your public safety team means the world to us. I know I've asked a lot of these guys and gals in the fire department to do a lot of things they're not accustomed to. It's beat down their morale, but they've showed up every day and done the job to support this community, to make sure you're safe and secure, provide the services you have come to expect from your fire department, and they've risen to the occasion, and my hat's off to each one of them. I want to move right into a couple of the firefighters that we want to recognize today, and I assure you there's many more stories like these, but I had the difficult task to bring a couple of them forward. I've got firefighter Kelly Wells, who works in our emergency medical dispatch center, and I have fire equipment operator Justin Graham here. Firefighter Kelly Wells' wife, Angela, is here today. I thank her for being here to support her husband. So if you'll bear with me, I want to read the story, and I want to ask you just to imagine yourself, maybe put yourself in this position and the circumstances that surround it and some of the stress and anxiety that play into these situations. I don't know how many of you have tried to give instructions to somebody, not only face to face, but over the phone, and expect them to be able to do what it is that you want them to do. It seems like there's no way to have enough adjectives and description for people to be able to follow those directions. So the first story I want to get to, though, is fire equipment operator Justin Graham. Justin Graham, back in Snowmageddon is what I'll deem it, made a ice rescue. You may have seen it on the news. It was on the news where both police and fire responded to that location, or correction, fire and police. Fire and police responded to that location and saved a couple that had gotten out on the ice and was taking pictures to memorialize the occasion, not realizing that temperatures had gotten above freezing and this was a dangerous situation. So I want to read his story that was given to me by his company officer. On February 19th, 2021, at approximately 4 p.m., Engine 1, Medic 11, Swift Water Boat 1, Rescue 6, and Battalion 2 were all dispatched to the area of Meadow Creek and Oxbow for a water rescue call. Engine 11, Medic 11 arrived on scene to find two victims, a male adult and female adult, who had fallen through the ice and were trapped in the water approximately 20 feet from the shoreline. Engine 11, Captain Rollerson, ordered ladders to be slid onto the ice to the victims. This was done in order to distribute the weight of the rescuers in hopes that the ice would not break. Driver paramedic Justin Graham made several attempts to throw a rope to the victims, but they were unable to hold on to the rope because of hypothermia. The female victim, who was being held by the male victim, started to go completely under the water. Irving Police Department member Travis Allen crawled out on one of the ladders and was able to grab the female victim and keep her head above water. Driver Justin Graham crawled onto the ladder out to the male victim and was able to grab him as well. Due to the weight of the ladders and the rescuers, the ice broke. The ladders, rescuers, and victims all began to submerge in the water. Quick thinking and teamwork from Irving Fire Department personnel on shore allowed both rescuers and victims to be pulled to shore. Both victims were transported by Medic 11 to Parkland Memorial Hospital within 12 minutes after the fire department company arrived on scene. That's a brief description, but did anybody see the video on the news? Okay. So the gentleman that was out there snatching up people in his arm like Superman was this guy right here. Now, and for the brief moment that he was in the water, he'll tell you that he completely went numb. That's how cold the water was. He just knew that the lady was about to go under. She couldn't survive much longer. The male as well. The police officers who were not trained to do this kind of rescue just knew they had to get out there, and then the weight of the victim and the rescuers all went down. So it was at that point, it was just snatch, grab, bust ice, and get to the shore, and then figure out what we needed to do. So that's what this gentleman did for the community, and our hats off to him. I'll assure you, firefighters are more inclined to do work with their hands than speak with their mouth. I had to overcome that tragedy. I still suffer from PTSD speaking in front of groups like this. So I'm not going to ask him. I actually asked him at the table if he wanted to speak. He said, no, no, thank you. So still thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So my next story is with firefighter Kelly Wells. Kelly Wells, as I mentioned, works in our firefighter emergency dispatch center. And like I said, if you've ever tried to give instructions over the phone to a friend to how to start a mower or work on something, there's absolutely no way that they follow the details as you give it to them, right? Next thing you know, they're tearing it up. You know, they're not doing anything correct. So put yourself in that situation. I spent, I think, 4 or 5 years in dispatch, so I can relate to the story that he had to deal with and it's extremely difficult. So on February the 1st, 2021 at 4:56, firefighter Kelly Wells was performing the role of call taker in the alarm office. Firefighter Wells is in his second week on the job. And so he came from the field. That's one thing most of you may not know is the fire dispatch center is staffed with firefighters. And I venture to say probably the least tenured employee in that dispatch center is 20 years. And so when somebody in the community calls and we say, okay, where are you at? Like say they're out on the highway. Well, I don't know. I'm out on the highway. Okay, well, how many of you know how many miles of highways in the city? You know, it's quite a bit. So the firefighters, knowing their district throughout the city, can say, okay, well, tell me what you see. You know, wow, I see a Whataburger and there's a Sonic next door. Okay, well, I know exactly where you're at. I'll get the equipment going. So that's the benefit of having fire personnel in your dispatch center. There's many times they override the computer-aided dispatch software because they know better than the software where the people are located. So he's in his second week of assignment to dispatch, and up until this point has impressed his fellow co-workers with how quickly he has mastered many of the responsibility of his new job requirements. The manner in which firefighter Wells handled the call for this particular incident warrants more than just a pat on the back. The above mentioned incident was for an apneic 5-year-old child, wasn't breathing. The mother who called on behalf of her son was frantic and barely understandable over the phone. Firefighter Wells guided family members on scene through textbook paramedic protocol. He's an emergency medical technician. He's not even at the level of paramedic, but he's been around so long, he understands the importance of knowing some of the responsibilities of a paramedic. I got that right. You're EMT or you paramedic? Okay, that's what I thought. After instructing the family to perform back blows, the child airway was audibly made patent. Members of the alarm office could hear the cries of the young child, ensuring that he had begun to breathe again. Firefighter Wells remained on the line, further calm and instruct the mother until the fire equipment arrived on the scene. Firefighter Wells conducted himself in a manner that far exceeds a new dispatcher. His actions undoubtedly led to a more positive outcome for the patient, family, and responding fire companies. Firefighter Wells operated with a calm demeanor and exceptional skill. The other dispatchers in the room were all witness to the incoming call and dispatch of the incident. I believe I speak for all of us when I say that Firefighter Wells' conduct in regard to this call is worthy of merit and recognition throughout the department. Respectfully, his company officer, Firefighter Kelly Wells. I think Rick's got something he wants to give you guys. Thank you once again for recognizing these firefighters. It means a lot to our department.
Well, thank you, Chief, and stay up here. Join me as I read this. Fireman Graham, I'd like to read this award that this Rotary Club would like to present to you. So you'd step up here with me, Chief, step up here with me. I want to read this to you. So it says, it says Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club recognizes J.K. Graham, fire equipment operator, for your commitment to integrity, excellence, courage, dedication to duty, leadership, teamwork, and accountability. We express our sincere gratitude for your professionalism, compassion, and loyalty in providing exceptional services and protecting and promoting a high quality of life for the residents, the visitors, and the businesses in the city of Irving, Texas, January through March 2021. It is my pleasure to present this to you, Fireman Graham. All right, very good. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I want to hear more of the details
Yes, sir.
because, yeah, great story. Fireman Wells, if you'd join me up here, and the Chief, if you'd step up this way, I'd like to read what the Rotary Club has placed on this award for you. Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club recognizes firefighter KG Wells, dispatcher, for your commitment to integrity, excellence, courage, dedication to duty, and your leadership, teamwork, and accountability. We express our sincere gratitude for your professionalism, compassion, loyalty, and providing exceptional customer service and protecting and promoting the high quality of life for the residents, the visitors, and the businesses of the city of Irving, Texas, January through March 2021. Firefighter Wells, thank you for what you know and what you shared in saving a life. Thank you. All right, very good. And Angela, thank you for being here today and taking photographs, and thank you for your support. All right. Well, Chief, stay up here with me because I think you're going to be our presentation today. And I want to take a few minutes. As I went out on the Irving City website and looked up some information, here's what I found out. So I want to see how the chief ties this in to his discussion on where we are today. It says the 1920s. The Irving Fire Department was formed in 1925 as a volunteer fire department after a fire started in the only schoolhouse. Ed, any recollection? Don't go there. You're not smiling, Ed. They started with 20 men, and Mr. R.V. Leach was elected chief. Volunteers started with a four-wheeled pull cart loaded with a 20-gallon water barrel, hand pump, buckets, brooms, and a small ladder. There are opinions that the Irving Fire Department started earlier, possibly in 1921. However, the only document evident of the fire department is from a 1925 invoice for a fire hose. The city was only 1 square mile at the time. 1926, they got the first motorized vehicle, a 1919 Model T Ford, and from there, there's a couple more things. So it is my pleasure to introduce our Irving Fire Chief, Victor Conley, a 36-year veteran with the city of Irving. He started at the, I don't know where you said you started, not polishing fire trucks, but
Delivering the mail, yeah.
Yeah, he's a 36-year veteran. Please help me welcome to the podium, Chief Conley.
So you never really know what Rick's going to do, right? So he starts you off in 1925, gives me 10 minutes to speak, and I got to bring you all the way up to 2021. So I'm going to talk really fast, so listen really fast now. So as he said, we had 1 square mile and our budget was significantly lower than what it is now. So once again, thank you for your support. The firefighters in this community could not provide you the service that they do without your support, not only through, venues like this, but also financially. You've given them nice facilities to be at, top-notch equipment and tools to work with, the ability to go train with outside experts and subject matter experts. So they're top-notch. I guarantee you they're top of the state and top of the country. I have chiefs all over the state asking what we're doing here in Irving. And it's because of stats like Rick gave me to share with you guys. So he told you a little bit about where we started. We're a long ways from that. So just fill in the gaps. It's like the dash, right? When you're born and when you're dead, we're the dash. There's a lot of stuff there. So, and he shared some statistical data, and I don't want to bore you with all that, but bottom line, when we talk about saved property, when I first started as a chief, we always talk about lost property. And what I heard was there was some rumblings about, why do we even have a fire department if you lose $4 million? You know, what's the use? So I said, okay, well, let's look at it from the other side of the equation. What did we save, right? And so we go to Dallas County Appraisal District, any structure that catches on fire, get the appraised value of it, and then that's what we figure into the equation. So I think in 1819, what Rick shared here on statistical data, we had a 98.87% save rate, which amounted to about $340 million. I think last year it was closer to 390 million. We bumped somewhere around the 99% save rate. So, you know, if this structure caught it on fire and we were able to keep it to a room and contents and save the rest of the structure from burning, where if you didn't have a fire department, or if you had a bucket brigade with you pull a wagon where it'd take us 15 hours to get here, it's going to burn down, right? So I think people understand that. So we talk about save rate. So we always bump right around the 99% save rate. And that's because of the support, once again. We continue to raise funds throughout the community for various organizations to help the, you know, maybe people that are less fortunate, whether it's health or finance or education or whatever. You know, we do the backpack program with several partners in the community to provide for our students. We raise funds for brain cancer research. We're going to start our MBA collection next Friday for 3 Fridays in a row, and 90% of those funds stay locally. 10% goes to the home office. I'm sure administrative fees, but just know that 90%, last word I got, stays local to help people with the MBA. So we raised about $130,000 just a few years ago for the different organizations. We put on citizen fire academies twice a year to educate people in the community that want to come out and get involved and do hands-on stuff to learn more about the fire department. They realize a lot of times when they come out, you know, I thought you just did fire and medical. I didn't realize, you know, that you do swiftwater rescue, hazmat, technical rescue, and all the aspects in technical rescue. I can sit here and tell you technical rescue, but what I don't get into is confined space rescue, trench rescue, high angle rescue, low angle rescue, structural collapse, you know, and our teams are part of not only regional teams, but state teams. And we get deployed all over the state to help other people. You know, when the hurricane hit down in Rockport, we had our firefighters were first on the scene with the regional task force 2 team to help members in that community. So they're not only helping us, your firefighters are helping people throughout the state and the region. Bless you. So, I can talk about, you know, like I talk about fire suppression, we were around 99%. I can tell you in fire prevention, which is a different branch in our department, you know, that they've been asked by the DA to teach other cities how to put arson cases together. We're about a 52 to 55% closure rate on arson cases, which are extremely difficult to prove. I mean, extremely. It has to be just black and white. They're caught before they're proven guilty. And we're about a 52 to 55% closure rate on that, where the national average is somewhere around 25%. Your EMS program, just to talk about CPRs throughout the nation, average anywhere from 8 to 10% save rate. Everybody they run on, you lose 9 out of 10 of them. Well, here in Irving, we're closer to 30%, which is extremely higher than the national average. So I just want you to know there's a lot of things that we track in the Irving Fire Department to make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing and to focus on areas where we need more training or attention put into to better serve this community. So that's enough about statistics, but I wanted you to know a little bit about your Irving Fire Department. Moving on to a different subject, Rick asked me to talk a little bit about Fire Station 4. I'm not sure if you're aware of where new Fire Station 4 is going, down on Medford and Toller. Anybody know the Toller family? Okay, no? Okay, Toller family, I got to talk to Bob Toller. Anybody know Bob Toller? Yeah, I think he sold insurance here for years and years, but part of the Toller family, and there's an incredible history there. You know, you go back to what Rick was talking about, where Irving was 1 square mile. Now I think we're bumping Mars at 67 or something, 67 square miles. So, you know, we've grown a little bit. And then you start looking at putting in the pieces, right? When you look at a map, just like when I hired on, back when we had, you know, the wagons and the bucket brigades, you know, and where we're at now. if you start looking at a map and then compare it to a map now, all the pieces of the puzzles that are being put in place, whether it's up here around Lake Carolyn or the Dark Light Rail, or, there's many aspects in this city when you start thinking about it, how this city has grown, and we're bumping 250,000 in population. Therefore, your services have to rise to provide the same service, right? So those are some neat things that have taken place here in Irving, and it's all because of the community member that get involved and help guide the governing body, the direction that y'all want them to go. So kudos to you guys. The next thing I want to talk on is vaccinations. Rick asked me, so let's back up a year, right? When all this thing hit, did we know what we had? No. What did most people do? They worked from home. They wore masks. They washed their hands. They stayed away. What can your police and fire department, fire and police, excuse me, what do your fire and police department do? We didn't know what we were dealing with, but we had to get out there on the front lines and do something. Not only is it expected, it's what we expect of ourselves. So we're walking into a house, not knowing if this virus is going to jump. I'll tell you, at one time I had almost 30% of the Irving Fire Department was out, either with COVID or in quarantine. And remember when I told you I asked a lot of our firefighters? That was it. I had them stepping up. I was having to force personnel to work overtime. Being exposed to this virus, knowing that 1/3 of our department was off because of it, to continue to provide the service without any gaps. And they did it. And not one of them will come forward and brag about it, but I'll tell you, they're doing it behind the scenes and they're making it happen. So the vaccination site, yes, thank you. So we're about to wrap up the vaccination site at Grand Prairie. I believe next week will be the final week. The main purpose of that vaccination site was to go through what they categorized in 1A and 1B. And we've pretty much gone through the majority of the people that want the vaccine. We've done that. And so we're phasing that out. We're trying to get the second shots done. And our goal is to close that facility by May 1st. I think Fair Park's still going to continue to operate as needed. But the local community is going to kind of phase out of that one as well and let the federal government take over that. But we had firefighters stepping up. In addition to having to step up and work at the station, they're stepping up on their days off and giving these vaccines out. And they did it. And I never heard any complaining, but I'm sure there was some complaining, but they stepped up and made it happen. And it never ceases to amaze me how they continue to step up and serve the community for whatever need they have. And I can tell you, when the fire service started back in before 1925, we were only expected to put out fires. Now we're doing all the other things. I haven't even mentioned weapons of mass destruction. I haven't mentioned man-made disasters, active shooters, all these aspects that start impacting our community. Fire and police are expected to step up, and we expect to step up. Before the community starts saying, what are we going to do? We're already trying to figure out a way to get it done, so that's just the mentality of your first responders and why they love to be public servants. The final thing I want to touch on is Snowmageddon. And once again, I won't bore you with the stats, but I will tell you that the response, our normal response in a day is right around 90 responses a day. Police, fire and medical and whatever in between. About 90 a day in this community. Multiply that out and you're bumping 30,000 tenfold. Our responses went up tenfold during the Snowmageddon. And it was everything from cutting off the water because people's houses were getting flooded from busted pipes, or it was people that was just trying to stay warm. How many had experienced the rollout in here? A few. How many of you experienced just complete shutdown of your electricity? Okay, so you can understand this. There were people in our community trying to figure out some way to stay warm. Unfortunately, they were doing things that put their family in harm's way. For example, bring a grill in the house and light it. Bring a generator in the house and try to generate, guess what? Carbon monoxide. We made a lot of carbon monoxide responses. I can't blame them for trying to stay warm. My electricity shut down for 50 hours. I experienced the same thing. So I can't blame them for trying to do what they can for their family. Unfortunately, they didn't realize the harm they were putting their family in. You know, and fires, you know, we're not used to dealing with -2. I'm sorry, that's just not what we're accustomed to, right? So our firefighters, I remember the first day they're responding to a structure fire and they're like, our pump's frozen. Just driving down the road, the water in the pump would freeze. So we'd have to go back and thaw it out, drain the water out, and shut the tank valve where it wouldn't bleed down into the pump. So we'd save the water until it got on scene. You know, something that simple, you know, to what you see pictures of people in the Northeast when they go through a structure fire, right? The ice hanging from the mustache, the ice hanging from the coats. Our firefighters got to experience that. And I think now they really enjoy living in Texas more. Yeah. So their jackets covered in ice and they're like bending their jacket and, you know, and all this ice is falling off. So to large diameter hose full of water freezing while they're out there on scene. You know, I can tell you, I've never been in -2 fighting fire, but I have been like in the 20s fighting fire, and it's extremely cold when you get wet and you're sweaty and it's 20 degrees and you're like, do I really want to put this fire out? Because it's kind of warm, you know? To something really stupid, I go back to the generator in the house, right? I'm not going to exclude myself from being one of those kind of people. We were actually standing at the exhaust pipe of these diesel apparatus, thawing our hands out while we're sucking down the fumes, you know? But you just do what you need to do, right? So I'm going to end on that. I want to thank you once again for allowing me to come up and speak about your Irving Fire Department. I want you to know we continue to strive to do things better. There's a lot of things that you guys do from supporting us and recognizing us to financially supporting our needs to better this community. And I think it shows not only were we the first best practice, and that's where fire chiefs throughout the state of Texas come in and scrutinize everything we're doing. And they say, Irving Fire Department's doing it right. We were the first one to do that, go through that scrutinization, but also achieving that ISO 1 rating. What's the benefit of an ISO 1? How many of you have heard of an ISO 1? Okay, so ISO 1, for those that don't know, is about your insurance. Okay, the worst you can have is a 10. The best you can have is a 1. At the time when we got ours, we were one of 26 in the state of Texas that got a 1. And that's because of the investment in your infrastructure, not only your water department, your communications, and your fire department. Those are the 3 aspects that make up an ISO 1. 50% of your ISO 1 recognition comes from your fire department. So there were some needs. We built Station 12. We built a new drill facility. We obtained an ISO 1. What's the benefit? Well, it helps Mara and it helps the chamber to bring in our corporate partners to keep your taxes down. That's what they look at that when they come in. Have you invested in your community? You know, that's one of the things they look at is your ISO 1 rating. So we got that 1. We use that to market this city and bring in our corporate partners and continue, hopefully, to bring in more and more people to keep the taxes down on the residents here. So once again, that's just a little bit about your fire department. Thank you for inviting me up to speak on the Irving Fire Department. And thank you most of all for taking time out of your day to recognize 2 of your own Irving firefighters. Thank you.
Well, great presentation. Just exciting to see everything that's going on in the community. To our firefighters and first responders, we thank you so much. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to honor and recognize your service to our community as well. Mara, we got a couple of great programs coming up for May. Is that right? Excited about that. But we still have one more week in April. So next week, Matt Carnes is going to be back here. Now, Matt is the guy that talked to us back last fall about those cars going to auction. Well, he's going to give us a brief update on those cars, but he's going to talk about the mobility skiing project that his family foundation has, where they take physically impaired people in wheelchairs and take them out and let them water ski. And so, great presentation. I've seen part of it already. So I encourage you to be back here next week and just look around. I mean, this room is full. So glad to see so many of you joining us today for the presentation. Well, I didn't tell Dan I was going to do this, but Dan, I want you to come up Dan's been our assistant district governor for our club for this past year and become a good friend of mine. And Dan, as soon as we finish the four-way test, I'm going to ask you to ring the bell and adjourn our club. We're grateful for all your work this year and serving the club. So if you'll stand with me, we're going to do the four-way test. Ed McCarty will lead us in that. Dan, you can adjourn us after that, all right? Here's the bell.
Have a blessed day.